Oh, All Systems Go. All Systems Go is like one of those vintage double time joints that I think you're known for. I think, you know, added so much more dynamics to the art of MCing over the years. Your breath control is incredible on that. What is your regimen to keep your breath control tight?
Well, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do anything like that, and my lungs are good. And years of just doing it. It's like stretching and stretching and stretching. It's like, I guess it's like a motherfucker that swallows fire. Like, or I seen a chick on the internet. She swallows fire every day on a fucking Instagram. I'm sure she didn't start off with that big goddamn fire stick. It started off a little bit. So I guess you just train yourself, and somebody that could do 5,000 push-ups, he didn't do 5,000 push-ups the first day. He just, you train yourself into being able to do shit like that. So now it's just second nature. But All Systems Go was interesting because, yeah, I've rapped, like I said, I wanted to go a different direction on the album, but I also want to give them, okay, you want something where they kind of used to a rugged man flow, but you want to put on a little bit of steroids and have fun with it. But the track itself wasn't straight boom bap or wasn't straight hip hop. It was an electro producer. His name is Michael Menard, and he was the founder, co-founder of the group Pretty Lights. Have you ever heard of them?
Yeah.
They're a really big electro group, and Mike's a massive producer, and he's a hip hop head though. I had like a show that was a flop. He showed up to it, and they was like, "Yo, Pretty Lights is here." I'm like, "Word!" They sell out stage 20,000 people. My show was fucking flopperoonie. And he come backstage and he's like, "Oh, you're my favorite rapper. You're my favorite rapper." He's like, "You and Sean Price," and he loved hip hop shit. So we stayed in touch, and that's the record we did together for my album.
Man, I think
And honestly, I didn't mean to cut you off, but a lot of my boom bap producer friends, when I was working on the album in the studio, I play that one, and they'd be like, "Yo, your rhyme is just so fucking dope. Let me remix it. Let me do a boom bap. That got to be boom bap. Put that on your album. Make it boom bap." I'm like, "Nah, I got boom bap on the album. This joint is what it is." And now that it's out, people really like it. But like, I remember my boom bap heads was like, "Yo, your rhymes is too ill. It got to be boom." No, we're good. We're good. I like this electro, different sound that, I want to fuck with that. So, yeah.
Joe Piscopo with the vicious flow. All systems go.
Yo, you were the guy that was they gave the album too early, that was live tweeting the album like 3 days before it came out.
Yeah.
Yo, that was terrible. You know why? Because you started live tweeting it, and I didn't get the public's response from the album yet. I didn't know if it would be loved or whatever. And I knew I was happy with it. But you stopped live tweeting it like 4 or 5 songs in. I'm like,
Yo, man. Yo, Matt hit me up on the side about that. Yeah, I
I
got
was
called into a meeting.
I was like, yo, like he lost interest after 4 or 5 songs. This album's 20 songs. I'm
Yeah.
like, this dude was like all hyped and lost interest. You almost gave me a heart attack. I was like, yo, fucking this guy. But then when it dropped, like honestly, the
Everybody
response
loves
to the record, the response to the record is tremendous, man. Like I didn't leave none of the fans down. They really had a lot of people are happy with this record. A lot of people they think masterpiece, album of the year. Like a lot of people really. So your little live tweet thing was 2 days before it dropped, 3 days before it dropped, and then 3 days later, everybody told me how they loved it. And listen to every track. It's no skippers. Like so yeah.
Yeah, I picked it up again maybe 2 days ago. I finished live tweeting the rest of the album as we got
Oh, I
closer
didn't
to
know
the
that.
end. Yeah, and then I asked my audience about questions for they want me to ask you, and they came in, man. They dropped so many questions. So we'll get to some of those, a few of the best ones later on. But you're right. I think the response that I've seen on the project has been amazing. At the same time, too, man. Is it ever? Do you ever get nervous about the responses? You sound like you really care about what people think, even though you don't care about what people think.
No, well, here's the thing: is you have loyal fans, and I leave them waiting for a long time. So, at one side of you don't care what certain people think. You don't care what like a nerd stan that never listened to a rap song in his life and just started listening to rap, in 2000 and thinks never heard of a Kool G Rap or Ghostface before, like I don't give a fuck what they think about me. But what you care about is the people who've been with you from day one, that like they tell you how much they love you and they tell you how much they're waiting. And it's like, this is a big fucking event and moment for them all of a sudden. Like they're really waiting on R.A. the Rugged Man out, So those people, I do care about my fans. So those people, the real fans, like if they all came back like, oh man, like it ain't what I wanted to be. It's not as good as the last one. It's like, yeah, I would have been hurt by that, But the fact that it was just the opposite. It was like, it was worth the wait. It was way better than I could have imagined. Oh my God. Like all the hype was like how much better it was than everybody thought it was going to be. And so, and all honesty, yeah, you're like, oh, I don't care. But now I'm older now, so I care. You get feelings and shit. And like when the response poured in, I cried like a bitch on the couch. Like my baby mother videotaped me. I was like, yo, don't put that nowhere. Like I didn't know she was taping me. I was crying I was on the couch crying like a bitch because it was a lot of years of work and stress and making sure everything's right. And so, yeah, I don't give a fuck guy. He existed, but I guess he gives a fuck now.
Right. You said something, there's a line on Contradictionary I think is really interesting, where you talk about how rap legends are treated like bygones, but rock legends are treated like icons. And it made me
a line in that, no.
Well, I thought it was interesting because you were talking to Vlad a couple of years ago. It was actually one of the interviews you did with Vlad that did really well on DX when we did a news story on it. And you were talking about Lonzo Ball and how he didn't, he supports Future. He's a Future fan before he's a Nas fan. And your whole point was that, well, if you look at guys like Public Enemy, they sell out Wembley Stadium and the whole world is listening to them. Future doesn't have that clout yet. To me, that feels like an example of a rap legend being an icon.
That's in all over the world, though. This was an American thing I was talking about. In America, if you like how does Public Enemy even get a headline in America today? It has to be Flav and Chuck D are beefing. It has to be on some TMZ gossip fucking bullshit. Like Chuck D will release a fucking great album, say some real shit. Who's even talking about the song or listening to the song? Chuck will start his own independent radio station, and that nobody will talk about that here. I'm talking about work. See, I bring up this quote all the time because Groucho Marx said it. The Marx Brothers, he said in America, because he was talking about films though, or art. He said, in America, you're remembered for your last, whatever you did. So if your last shit was a flop or your last shit didn't sell, nobody gives a fuck. He said, in Europe, they care about your greatest accomplishment. So if you go to Europe, they're not looking at like, what the fuck is Public Enemy? They haven't had nothing since the 80s. No, in Europe, Public Enemy is look at those are the motherfuckers that did Fight the Power. That's the legendary group that did, It Takes a Nation of Millions. Like that's how Europe and other places in the world. It's just America is so on some like trendy. You have to be what's happening right now at the moment. It always is. Filmmakers, if you haven't had a hit in 10 years, you're a bum. It's like it's a weird place, America. But if you take a filmmaker over to France, they'll study every moment of the film. They're like, you made this masterpiece. So I don't care if you didn't have a successful movie in 2020. You are the man responsible for this masterpiece. That's how they look at things more worldwide. So I was talking about more, an American thing where like, yeah, in America it's like Rolling Stones, David Bowie. David Bowie's fucking dead forever. David Bowie, but like, you bring up Kool G Rap, the hip hop heads, like, when did he do anything? It's like, shut the fuck up, it's like, and that's why in America, such horrible, mediocre music gets accepted because it's such a trendy place. So they'll go, what's getting the most hits on social media? That's the music we'll promote. So the social media hits goes with the music. So that's what we get to hear, is whoever gets the most social media hits get, their music is what is presented. Not the music is not important. That's secondary. The main thing in America is, look, this is what people are talking about on TikTok and Instagram, and boom, boom, boom. This is what gets a hit. That's why, like, you know who they are. I don't gotta name names. You know who they all are.
Do you think that's something that evolves over time? The thing I think is interesting is that, I feel as though hip hop is now at the stage where, yeah, you can be 40 years old and have a debut album, you and be a trending topic. I think that we are now seeing artists.
Well,
expand.
that's a trick. That's a trick right there, because 40-year-old with a debut album, but Jay-Z's a billionaire and the most famous celebrity rapper on the planet Earth. So you do a duet, no disrespect to Jay-Elec, because I love Jay's rhymes, but anybody could do a dual album with Jay-Z, and the society will. In fact, if it was a cornier rapper, the album would have did way better. But this was like a real lyrical lyricist. It wasn't like a corny, simple, dumbed down rapper. It was a 5% God body rapper with Jay-Z. So that actually hurt the fucking sales of the record. The record would have been through the roof if it was a super corny rapper with Jay-Z, but one of them social media rappers with Jay-Z. You know what I mean? Imagine what the numbers would be if Jay-Z and Cardi B all of a sudden surprised, and here's the Cardi B Jay-Z album. Shit would be the biggest fucking album of the decade, But you put Jay with a super lyrical 5% God body, and then it'll still trend and this and that, but it's still not going to get as far as something dumbed down.
Where do you put artists like Westside Gunn, Griselda, Benny Butcher's, 37? Basically debuting right now.
Yeah.
I feel like those guys do a good job of trending, even though I don't see them on charts very often.
Yeah, I'm not real familiar too much. Like whenever I hear something from them, I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's dope. Like I'm not real up on the whole movement, but I know there's a lot of hype around the movement. I know a lot of people excited about it, and I know a lot of like legendary boom bap motherfuckers are excited about it, So I know the movement is important. I'm just like I said, I'm in quarantine with 3 fucking babies, a 1-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old, and for me to sit down, like honestly, I'm supposed to memorize this album for whenever the fuck tour starts. So I'm supposed to sit down and put my stage show together and rap my own. I can't even memorize my own fucking album yet. So for me to, let me sit down. There's a hot album out this week. Let me sit down and check out what's going. I haven't been able to do it right now. So.
Do you think that hip hop will become more like rock in the future, where we treat our legends like icons as opposed to bygones?
Well, it depends who it is, because you rewrite history again, like you get I mean, if they're a pop icon as well, I think, the real heads, like the real heads, treat Rakim like the god. Anybody meets Rakim today, that's the god, It's just that the society we live in, like he wasn't that good. Like, gosh, you don't understand the culture. You don't understand what's great about what people are doing. You don't understand it. So don't talk about it, He doesn't have multis and punchlines. Like, you just don't understand the culture. And he does have multis. And or every rapper that you think is good would not even come close to existing. And the other thing is they don't understand projection. When a guy like Rakim the God just speaks on like just one word, I came in the door, it sounds better than your whole fucking song. Like they don't understand projection and clarity and just owning like a presence, having a fucking presence. So, I see some of these people try to take away from the greats in history too, but like the heads, the truthful heads, You know, Rakim will always be the God, I believe. You know, so yeah.
One thing I loved about Golden Oldies, first of all, I love you and Atmosphere together. I love how you took the Dwick line too. Um,
All my heroes are dead. You know, it's a theme that runs throughout the album. So, you know, rest in peace, Guru. You know, like started off with Reggie Osei, you know, and you know, throughout the album, you know, there's little things, you know, you got to catch them, you know, and that's an easy one to catch. But you know, well, not for the non-hip hop heads. It ain't that easy, actually. You think that's the other thing when you're hip hop. Oh, of course you get it, but you know, in this fucking day and age, you never know what the fuck they're gonna get, you know.
One thing I thought about that, your opening verse, is when you're talking about your girl. She doesn't know NWA. She only knows M and Dre, and and it reminds me of you know conversations I've heard you have about you know different generations and how they treat each other within hip hop. Have you ever thought about or wondered how hip hop dies? Is that a thing that has ever crossed your mind?
How it dies.
Yeah, if it could.
Even when Nas and them was talking that hip hop's dead bullshit, I was the anti hip hop's dead guy. I never believed it. I made interviews on YouTube back then saying, "Come on, what they want to be the last of the Mohegans and kill it off? Like fuck all that." Even in an interview, I said, "Like you telling me there's not some like 14-year-old LL Cool J aggressive ass kid that could fuck motherfuckers up and gonna be the next one? Like, of course hip hop's not gonna die. Of course. The only thing is, you know, the more money gets involved with anything, you know, corporations destroy culture. So there's going to be nonstop whackness that's going to exist. And what's going to be marketed to the people is going to be simplified, dumbed down whackness. So if you could get past that and look at all the fucking amazing, tremendously super dope hip hop and MCs and threatening ass bars going on, you go, well, shit is not even close to dead. And honestly, listen, like I said, I do my career. I probably did 3,000 shows, 5,000 shows. I know it's in the thousands, maybe 10,000 shows. I can't even tell you how many shows I did, but it's in the you know high thousands. And I go all over the world, and every night, you know, you meet MCs that want to rhyme for you. Yeah, you get a ton of terrible rappers, like, oh, this motherfucker's rapping in my ear. But you know how many nights, it don't matter what the fuck country or city you're in, like the most random ass city, a kid will come in your ear or just have a dope ass energy, and you look in his eyes, you're like, that motherfucker is gonna kill it. I'll give him the mic. Like sometimes I do that. Come here. I let a motherfucker grab them and they murder it. They like obliterate it. So how the fuck is hip hop dead when every fucking city I go to in the world, there's somebody, you know, murderous all over the planet. That is. So nah. And like I said, name a fucking city. If you go to any city, you could go to the most inbred ass, hillbilly ass, redneck place. You could go to the poorest city in South America. You can go to a fucking to Russia, you know, Moscow, and you know they got that one kid, my boy. He battled the disaster and everything. The little Russian kid, you know, he's not the only one. I'm saying it doesn't matter where you go on the planet Earth. There's super ridiculously incredible MCs. So that shit started off as a little party in New York City. You know what I mean? Like, and it expanded and expanded. And at some point, New York was really the only motherfuckers that could do it. And the only motherfuckers that could do it right. Like the South was trying it, the West Coast was trying it, but they was all terrible. You know, they was making booty music. They was trying to be rap. They couldn't rap. None of them could rap. Then through the years, and I'm talking about the 70s, you know, early 80s, 84, 85. They wasn't rappers. Um, but then, you know, the South came on. Before the South, Cali, the South, you know, everybody started coming on, and everybody started, you know, learning to come to the barbecue. And so now you go to Cali, some of the rappers are way better than the New York rappers, and now you go Midwest, and the rappers are better than everybody on the planet. Like, and now you don't even have to be in America. You go to any country on the planet, And there's dudes that are just, so it's like the coronavirus times 10,000, hip hop. It just spread. Pow, 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 pow. Everybody got it. Everybody caught the sickness. They caught fucking hip hop sickness worldwide. It's everywhere. So shit is the furthest thing from dead, man.
I think it's I always wonder how, if I'm a kid and I love rapping, I don't necessarily know or haven't had a chance to be taught the history and the elements of hip hop, but I know I like rap, and sometimes they call rap hip hop, and then I'll constantly run into my older cousins, my older uncles who are telling me what I'm doing ain't real hip hop, but it's still rap. Do you think that, I personally wonder, at what point do the kids say, fuck it, it's not hip hop, I'm still rapping?
Well, that's their choice. The thing is, it's the same thing as filmmaking, There's filmmakers that know that they'll get better by studying the greats. They watch all the Hitchcock movies. They watch all the, old school Otto Preminger movies. They watch all the greats. And they see all these tremendously brilliant, untouchable things being done. So then they have a point to strive from that, Other filmmakers go like, fuck it, I don't know any of them guys. I grab my camera and make movies. And some of them guys, fuck it, I'll make movies. There's a certain ugly rawness to their movies. Like, yeah, they're not polished. They'll never be a fucking Kubrick, but they're telling a picture with their camera. So same thing with certain hip hop. Like, yeah, obviously, if that kid wanted to study music, he would be better. But sometimes he turns on that mic and he might have a personality and an energy and a story that, even though he's not technically where he could be, he might still be important. You know what I mean? So it's two different worlds. I would recommend to any artist, period, rapper, anything, of course, study the greats. Like, a horn player, you're not going to study all the great horn players and see what already has been done because you're going to reinvent all horn playing. You're never going to be one of the greats like that. So there's two, but you can be an interesting voice without studying anyone else. But to be truly, one of the greats, I think, history has been provided to you. All you have to do is look at the history, and you can learn so much from it. Instead of reinventing the wheel from the bottom, and you think you're doing something original, but it's been done 50 fucking thousand times. You just don't know anything about the history,
We had a conversation recently on the All Out show. I'd love to get your reaction. I feel like KRS-One's legacy over the years has been muted. When I feel like 88, 89, 90, you can make an argument he's the best rapper on the planet. And for me, it's the first time that I remember growing up feeling like, oh man, when certain artists or when certain people or when anyone talks about certain things, that they potentially jeopardize their legacy. Do you feel like Chris is underrated, or do you feel like he gets the amount of respect that he should?
I think, a lot of times when OGs talk about their Mount Rushmore, I hear Chris' name come up often. So I'm not so sure. I don't know,
I guess here's what I mean. You mentioned everybody knows Rakim's the God, which is true. And I think that transcends generations. I don't think Chris transcends generations. I think Slick Rick transcends generations. I don't think that, Chris transcends.
Well,
I think it was.
Here's the thing, though, with Ra. When Ra came on the scene with Paid in Full, it was almost, for that time, he was the undisputed heavyweight champion in the world. Like, it was an undisputed thing, And then, Kane dropped and all these other guys dropped as well. And then the debates started, But when Rakim dropped Paid in Full, I think everybody thought he was better than Criminal Minded. He was better than BDP. They knew BDP was incredible. They've never heard anything like it. And Chris was a master, well, they didn't know a master yet because he was new, but they knew that he was ridiculous. But I think when Rakim came out, it was just a sound, and everybody imitated, and he changed everything in hip hop after it, because like even Chris was still doing, projection and energy, and like he was still had the hypeness, because before, Melly Mel hype, these guys, Run DMC hype, LL Cool J hype, you know. Rakim, the story with MC Shan and Marley Marl when they were recording Rakim, they were laughing at it because the energy was so low, and he's like, he ain't even rapping, but they didn't know it was so fresh to everybody. But after Rakim, hip hop changed because everybody started being this, Raekwon, Prodigy, any Nas, none of those guys exist, not even close to exist without Rakim. None of them. Uh, Everything changed after that. The whole bigness of show projection and Houdini and that was gone after Rakim. Rakim stopped that. So I think that's why Rakim Forever is looked, because it was like almost like like BC and AD for before Christ and after death. It's almost like before Ra and after Ra. That's what hip hop. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I also think I don't think. I think Rakim was much more personal. Or how about this? He kept more of his personal life away from the public eye. I don't have that many examples of him getting as, intimate or revealing as much about himself.
It's the God aura. There's a aura, a God aura around Rakim, where he was an untouchable. Like he was too cool for us. He wasn't a real person. You couldn't, that's why and another thing, how Rakim hurt hip hop, and it's not his fault, is that Rakim was the first one. His aura was so huge that he was able to just come out the fucking stage and just say his lyrics and walk back and forth, and the crowd would fucking eat it. Like his aura just obliterated the building. So then the MCs after him thought they could do that too. But no, you don't have the God aura. Nobody had that aura. So God, that was Rakim shit. So when rappers tried to do Rakim, they bored the shit out of every fucking show they did for decades. So no, you're not Rakim. Even if you're the greatest lyricist besides, whatever, you're still not Rakim. Rakim had the God aura.